Hello, everybody. Welcome to the review from Instant Cinematic Escape on YouTube. It is 10:03 p.m. I just came home from watching Avatar: The Way of Water, the 13-year sequel that was a cinematic and visual masterpiece that James Cameron brought forth in 2009. Without further ado, as per usual, it would be spoiler free. Let's talk about what I experienced. Uh, James Cameron is such a unique and innovative genius in the way that he has created modern cinema in ways that utilizes special effects that still to this very day hold up. There's not dated in any fashion. He has created, well, there's Aliens, Terminator, Terminator 2 Judgment Day, which is still one of the greatest science fiction action films of all time. You have True Lies, of course, Titanic, Avatar. Terminator 2 is still my favorite science fiction action film. That was the one form of cinema that I would watch religiously every single day during my childhood. It shaped and molded who I was, and it actually, in all honesty, made me that much more passionate about film. Without James Cameron and Arnold Schwarzenegger, I could honestly say without equivocation that I would not have the passion for this medium that I do now if not for them. That must admit, at the age of 41 now, there is this type of love hate relationship that I have with James Cameron. His ability to utilize and be innovative with the visualizations of his projects, it looks so realistic and authentic that, for example, the T-1000 special effects in 1992, compare that to what exists now. You watch that and say you were watching it as it happened. It still blows your mind as to how he was able to create that in 1992, whereas now the special effects that have become so bombarded with, a lot of them tend to look very cartoony, doesn't look realistic. He has found a way, and still I have no idea how he does it. He has found a way to basically create cinema that it's almost as if when you watch his animation, it's it's almost as if that you forget you're watching anything that was made by a computer. That's how realistic it is. And so one of my coworkers asked me if I was in the film industry, given this dream project of mine that would essentially change how people view cinema, what would it be? Growing up, I love Thundercats. Still do. Had all the toys, cartoons, have the complete series, of course, and I as well have the complete series of the new one, not that awful one that was on Cartoon Network recently. So I always figured I would love to bring Thundercats to life in the cinema format. 2009 rolls around, James Cameron comes in with Avatar. My mind immediately went to the thought perspective of, you know what? That's how I want to do Thundercats. So now I can't do Thundercats, unfortunately, because he essentially that's exactly what I always had in mind. If Thundercats was to be made in a live action format, that's exactly what it would be, exactly like that. So it is what it is. Can't hate him too much for that because he does produce results, regardless of the reputation that he has for being one of the most difficult to work with, short tempered. The man produces genuine results. Avatar: The Way of Water is a sequel that takes place a year after the events of the first film. Excuse me, and you are returning to the world of Pandora. You're spending less time on Earth and more on Pandora, and as well as becoming more accustomed with the culture that they are bringing forth, and you are transfixed on the character development that is at play here. It's one thing about it, whereas the first film it was focused on Jake Sully and his adaptation into the culture. Now it's more about his family. Avatar: The Way of Water is by far darker, more sinister, emotional, and it's I would say the violent scale is on par with the first one, but you know that James Cameron decided to be more personal, and the thing that I have come to appreciate about him is he's not particularly preachy, even though there is very strong, heavy political allegory in this film. It's not to the point to where it detracts you from enjoying the experience. He's not beating you over the head with his beliefs. It's simply this is a film that it is what it is, and with the complicated visualizations and the state of art imagery that still I have no idea how he managed to accomplish this because when you are watching it, it's almost as if that you literally forget that you're watching just a pure, beautiful state of art special effects. I can't. It's really hard for me to articulate exactly how mesmerizing it is because it looks so realistic. When I think about the underwater sequences, say for Aquaman or even Wakanda Forever with the Submariner Namor, you still could tell that they weren't underwater. In this film, they it's almost as if that you are underwater with them. It's it's just like I said, it's very hard to describe, but it really sold me on the fact that he has found a way to bridge that gap and say, you know what, I'm going to create a piece of art that no one has ever experienced before, and they are going to love it. And even though for a man, he has went on record saying that he expects Avatar: The Way of Water to break 2 billion. Whether or not it reaches a billion or 2 billion, I have no idea. That is complete conjecture on my part. But however, it is a bold statement. But I will not be surprised if it does. 'Cause I do believe that word of mouth is going to help propel this film as to such a status that he will go down as still one of the great. Is probably the greatest director of all time. I mean, by far. I mean, I can't think of anybody else that comes close. I mean, there's Peter Jackson, there's Sam Raimi, there's Steven Spielberg. There's a lot of directors that have created just brilliant forms of stories that stand the test of time. But James Cameron, he's in a league of his own. And Avatar: The Way of Water is, I think, it's a type of film that we desperately needed. Another one that we needed in 2022, given what we've unfortunately have experienced for the last 2 to 3 years. With so much negativity and hostility and volatility, we needed a film that is focused more on unity, beauty, and that's what this film delivered. It is by far the most the most cinematic masterpiece that I've ever had the privilege of watching. Very emotional, action packed. The orchestral score that's associated with the film is top notch. As I said, the performances are intense and raw, and you believe it. And that's what's definitely for me, as someone who has watched cinema all throughout his childhood. I cannot I cannot sing this man praises enough. He has done the impossible. He has, for me, made a film that is so far above and beyond what the first one brought in 2009. He sold me on this probably being the greatest film of 2022 by far. Uh, it's it's one of those type of stories now where I find myself at a complete loss of words because I don't know how he does it. I simply do not know how James Cameron has still managed to hit strike gold every single time. And no matter how long he takes with his projects, it seems like he never disappoints. And that's what cinema does. I do believe what it should do is, because when I think about Marvel or some of the DC properties, there's a lot of times you feel as if that you watch something great, yet at the same time you still want a little bit more. You watch something like this, and it gives you that impression of saying, "Wow, I have never watched anything like this before. I don't believe I'm gonna see anything like this again." The only films that have done that for me personally have been the Lord of the Rings trilogy, the original, The Dark Knight, Terminator 2. I'm gonna say the Iron Man, the first Iron Man, Avengers, the Joker, Endgame, Infinity War, No Way Home. I mean, there are a lot of films of that magnitude, but I don't know. I don't know how James Cameron has been able to strike gold the way he has. I wish I could articulate exactly what I believe his method of madness is when it comes to creating beautiful works of art, and I'm still speechless. I am absolutely speechless. This is something that I cannot recommend it enough to anybody. I will say it is a 3 hour and 12-minute movie. It's very long, but the beauty of it, it doesn't feel like it. It doesn't feel as if that you're sitting there for 3 hours. I seriously, I have to recommend this. Go watch it. That's all I can say. 10 out of 10, 2 thumbs up. Let me know in the comment section what you thought about it. I'm looking forward to it. If you want to join my Discord, feel free to do so. The link is in the bottom. And that is my review of Avatar: The Way of Water. Highly recommend it. You will not be disappointed in my opinion. And I hope you guys stay safe and peace out.